Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Spurs Up Show, the best Gamecocks podcast on the internet. Today is Thursday, February the 27th, 2020. On today's show, I break down South Carolina basketball's 94-90 overtime win over the Georgia Bulldogs. What a game. What a win. I'll try to break down what was a crazy, awesome, thrilling, stressful game at Colonial Life Arena on Wednesday night. Also, it is Clemson weekend. The rivalry series is upon us. I'm breaking down, previewing the South Carolina Clemson baseball series. I'll break down Clemson, their pitching, their hitting, everything you need to know about the Tigers. And also, we'll talk USC, what to watch for, key player for the weekend. I'll give my prediction as well. Very, very exciting as we go into rivalry weekend. Also, your listener questions. And we have a fantastic interview with former Gamecocks catcher and current Detroit Tiger Grayson Greiner. Guys, a phenomenal interview that I know you are sure to enjoy. Before we get into everything, this is a podcast into by our friends over at Newground Hard Nitro Lattes. Guys, this drink is absolutely amazing. I love the brand. I love the people. The drink itself, though, phenomenal. Everyone that I've given these drinks to, I let try. They have been pleasantly surprised just because of how good it is. Not that they didn't expect to like it, but just how good the drink is, guys. It's amazing. If you're a big coffee drinker like me as well, you're going to love it. They have two flavors, cafe latte and chai latte, which have 5% alcohol. So, guys, 5% alcohol. It's enough to enjoy casually if you want, but also if you're at the tailgate, you're trying to have a good time, you're at a party, you're with friends, family, whatever, it's perfect for any occasion. Guys, like I said before, these things taste amazing. There's a reason for that. They're actually made with real coffee and tea, natural flavors, real sugar. They're GMO-free. Guys, when you taste these things, you're going to be able to tell the difference. You know, a lot of times you're sacrificing taste for the buzz you're trying to achieve. Not with this. I mean, this is truly just a delicious drink. You can't even taste the alcohol. Again, 5% alcohol, but you can't even taste it because the drink tastes so freaking good. It has naturally occurring caffeine in the cafe latte flavor, or you can go with the chai latte flavor, which is caffeine-free if you're more of a decaf person. You can find the drinks all over the Southeast, from South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, in any stores like Harris Teeter, Publix, Total Wine, Trader Joe's, Food Line. Guys, they're everywhere. If you can't find it, be sure to ask for it because they are taking over. If you want to learn more, be sure to check them out at drinknewground.com. Be sure to follow them on social media as well at drinknewground. Again, that's Newground Hard Nitro Lattes, imported from Holland. Be sure to check them out, drinknewground.com. And follow them on social media at Drink Newground. Let's get it. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Chris Phillips, your host of the Spurs Up Show. As always, appreciate you guys tuning in on this Thursday. Hope everyone's having a fantastic Thursday. And folks, I was just saying this to myself before we jumped on, before the mics got hot, if you will. What a show. What a show that we have for you guys today. You get the dub in basketball. Carolina Clemson baseball this weekend, breaking it down. And, oh, by the way, Grayson Greiner, the interview for the pod. Folks, this is a good one. This is a damn good one. I'm excited. I'm fired up to record. I'm also very fired up because I just left Colonial Life Arena and watched South Carolina basketball get that huge, huge dub. Exhausting dub, to be honest. I first thing I had to do, if you saw the post game I did on social media, I had to drink a beer when I got home. I was just like, my God, this was insane. Before we get into everything, a couple housekeeping items, just a couple reminders. The Spurs Up Show watch party on Saturday night. If you're in the Columbia area, let's say you're going to the Carolina Clemson game or you're just in the Columbia area, come out to Cotton Gin and 5 Points watch party. Tip-off is at 8:30. We're going to be watching South Carolina take on Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Obviously, with the win over Georgia, all these games are important, but it becomes even more and more important now that you got that dub against the Dogs. So tip-off's at 8:30. Doors open at 8 o'clock. Guys, get out there. It's going to be a blast. I'm going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be slugging a ton of brews. We're going to be celebrating clinching the series against Clemson. I'm speaking that into existence right now. We're going to be doing it. We're going to be get after it. That's Cotton Gin and 5 Points. Doors open at 8. Tip-offs at 8:30. They're going to have the game on all the TVs, upstairs and downstairs open. It's going to be a blast. I'm telling you, get out there. We're going to have a really, really good time. Again, doors at 8. Tip-off at 8:30. Cotton Gin and 5 Points. Also, wanted to just make you guys aware, because I know I didn't talk about the start of spring practice on the show yesterday. I'm not talking about on today's pod either. But tomorrow, going to have a full spring practice preview, if you will, or things that I am looking for specifically in spring practice, because there are about 5 or 6 different things I'm going to really be focused on. Also, be sure to check out the SEC podcast with Michael Bratton. We retweeted that on we shared that on our social media pages. I jumped on there with Michael Bratton and previewed South Carolina spring practice. I'll probably pull some clips for that and put it on social media. But I will be breaking it down on the Spurs Up Show on this pod tomorrow. Tomorrow's show going to be a full spring practice preview, full spring practice breakdown. So if you've been looking for that, just wanted to make you guys aware it is coming. I promise you. For now, though, let's stick with the hardwood. Let's talk Gamecocks basketball. South Carolina with a thrilling overtime win over the Dogs, 94-90 at Colonial Life Arena. I mean, I left this game almost – I don't know that I'm ever really speechless. I mean, obviously what I do, I kind of have to have words. But, man, I mean, as speechless as I could be. I mean, just an exhausted feeling. This game there were so many emotions in this game, the highest of highs, the lowest of lows. I thought for a second there South Carolina's completely down and out. And then I thought for a second there South Carolina's completely in control. I mean, this thing went back and forth, back and forth. You know, it's funny, but in the preview, if you guys remember, I said that I expect this to be a much more back and forth game than last time. I did not think it would be a blowout. I just didn't know it'd be this close. I didn't think we'd be going into overtime. Georgia, tip of the cap to the Dogs, not even really the Dogs, but tip of the cap to Anthony Edwards, guys. I saw some things on social media that, hey, is Anthony Edwards overrated? He's not that good. And, you know, I'll be honest, even I questioned him a little bit after South Carolina. We really shut him down the last time we played him, but, man, he's a legitimate ball player. I mean, game recognized game, give him credit. He was phenomenal. There's a reason that he is going to be the number 1 draft pick in the NBA draft. Some of the moves he put on out there, he was an NBA-type player playing on a college floor last night. So kudos to him. But South Carolina able to overcome, give these guys major, major problems. And I think the thing that all Gamecock fans are going to agree, the most surprising thing was the way that it happened. I mean, South Carolina working inside to out. I mean, your big guys were what really saved you in this game. I mean, I think at halftime, your guards had 3 total points. You hadn't made a 3 all game. You look at the stat line. Alonzo Frink, what was in his Wheaties last night? Because, my goodness, 22 points. Leads South Carolina. Mike Kotsar, ho-hum, sir. Do your thing. 19 points, 10 rebounds. Unbelievable what he's done as a senior. Get the final charge call to basically seal the game for you. Unbelievable. Just another big defensive play he's made. Keyshawn highlight reel Bryant, my friends. 16 points, 10 rebounds, and a monster. I mean, as good a dunk as you're going to see at any level, but especially from a college player, unbelievable. Put his Superman cape on. 16 points for him. Jalen McCreary, very underrated performance. Very underrated. 10 points on the night. In just 16 minutes, by the way. Went 5 of 5 from the field. What a night. Jermaine Couisnard eventually picking it up. A.J. Lawson with 10 points. Couisnard with 13. But this night was really about the bigs. Last night was really about the bigs for South Carolina. And again, what a game they had. You know, this game, you can look at it statistically, and obviously what we're doing now, you can look at it statistically, break down into the numbers. South Carolina shooting 48% from the field. They shot just 19% from 3, 62% from free throw line, and my God, was it agonizing to watch those dudes shoot free throws late. Oh, my God. I mean, whew. You know, I posed the question on social media, and I meant it. I mean, what would you rather do than watch South Carolina shoot free throws? I mean, literally anything. The best answer, lick a doorknob in China. I'm right there with you. I mean, it's literally gotten to the point, especially in that game when it was close and there was things on the line. There were things like at stake. I almost like cringe. Like I'm not even kidding. Like I want to look away when we shoot free throws because it's so hard to watch. It's almost like secondhand embarrassment watching us shoot free throws. But getting back to my original point, you can talk about the stats, how we shot. You know, Georgia shooting 42 and 28. 42 and 28 from the field, 77% from three line, all that good stuff. All those stats, they matter. But what stood out to me in this game goes beyond statistics. It really does. The fight. And I've never questioned it, but just another example of this team showing its character, its fight, its resiliency. Because, again, there were many times in that game where I was like, man, maybe this just isn't our night, or maybe Georgia's going to pull away here and get us. And, South Carolina just overcame. I mean, again, it won a game that I don't know that I can look at any other game this season and say that we've won a game that way. This was an uncharacteristic method of winning this ball game, and you found a way anyways. Again, Alonzo Frank with 22 points. I mean, that just round of applause. Mike Kotsar with 19. Round of applause. Keyshawn Bryant, 16. I mean, that's not how you've won games. A.J. Lawson and Jermaine Kuznar went 3 of 11 from three-point range combined. They made 5 shots total on the night, and you still won the game. Dude, guys, it's unbelievable. I was sitting in there like, this is wild. And I know Frank cited in the post game that basically Georgia was playing 5 guards, so you can take advantage of their size, and I get all that, and I agree with him. But man, I was just sitting in the building just like, man, this is shocking. If you'd have told me that at halftime South Carolina's guards would have 3 points total, I'd have told you we were losing by 20. No question. I'd have said we're losing this game by 20 points. No doubt. But Carolina found a way to win. And again, I think it's so impressive too because it shows the resiliency, the fight, the character, especially coming off back-to-back losses where you lost your last game on your home floor. You fought really hard in 2 straight games and you came out on the losing end, but you still find – and listen, I know some fans are saying, oh, my God, Georgia was 4-10 in conference. Like, they're so bad. Like, God, we must be terrible. And, I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it and say that, we played great or that we look like a great team out there. Flat out, there's a lot to fix. We got to play a lot better Saturday against Bama if we expect to get the win. But not all wins are built equally in the SEC, and a win is a win is a win in conference. It really doesn't matter. With the parity of college basketball and the SEC, truly being as deep as it is. I mean, Georgia's as bad as they are, and they have the number 1 player in college basketball on their team. So, if that tells you anything. So, just to be able to pull out the win. Again, not all these wins are built the same. You're not going to beat everybody by 15 points every time you play them. Even the Georgias of the world. Hell of a win. It's a hell of a win. Kudos to Frank Martin and his guys. Again, that game, I walked out of that building just like, wow. Just thoroughly impressed and just wow. Just unreal. I can't believe the way South Carolina won the game, I guess. That's really what threw me for a loop. But, man, it feels good to beat Georgia. To hell with Georgia. Georgia loves losing to us in overtime, no matter the sport. And, man, if we can beat the Dogs 2 out of 3 in baseball, I think we can officially say we own the Dogs right now. It feels pretty good. But, it's one you had to have. They all are at this point. And again, to me, to bounce back from back-to-back losses and show that resiliency and grittiness and toughness and, getting knocked down, having the courage to get back up, that was fun to watch. The one thing I will say, and I want to bring it up and highlight it because a lot of people have reached out to me about it, and it's something I noticed during the game. Obviously this game meant a lot, had a lot on the line, whatever they all do at this point. But man, Frank Martin was on one. I don't know if it was because of what was on the line or he had a bad day or they were just pissing him off that much. But I've told you guys before, Frank Martin's a good coach. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a good basketball coach, but he's a psycho. He is a psychopath. I truly felt bad for Jair Bolden. This dude got eviscerated last night. Torn to pieces last night. Granted, whatever he said worked to the team. Jair Bolden didn't have a good night. He had 0 points. But to the team, it worked. But, man, Frank was on something last night. That shit was wild. It's so funny because in basketball, you can hear everything they're saying, right? We don't have sellout crowds where it's right, at least right now, where it's it's like deafening in there where you can't hear what the coach is saying. I mean, you can clearly hear what Frank's saying. So, again, like Frank, good coach, but he's kind of crazy. I think we can all at least laugh that off and admit it. And, yeah, he was on one. He was on one last night. But, again, it worked. You get the dub, 94-90. You just kind of keep trucking along. 17-11 overall now, 9-6 in the conference. You face Alabama on Saturday at their place. We're going to watch South Carolina get the dub at Cotton Gym, by the way. But you face Alabama at their place Saturday. Mississippi State at home Tuesday. That'll be a big game. A big one because they beat you last time. That'll be a big one. Got to get revenge. And then at Vanderbilt to close it out, which, like I said, not all wins in the SEC are built equally, and that'll be a tough road trip. But kind of crazy to think we only got 3 regular season games left. What a season it's been. But, no, it's a big one. I mean, again, you had every reason to lose. I mean, there were many chances where you could have lost it, and instead you took it and won it. I mean, I'll say almost kind of the same thing I said about the baseball win on Tuesday night. Hey, it wasn't pretty the whole time, but I'll take an ugly 94-90 overtime win than a pretty one any day of the week. You know, you very easily could have been on the other side of this thing. So kudos to this Gamecocks team. I do want to say, too, I was critical of the free throw shooting, very much deserved. But this team was clutch down the stretch. 9 of 13, their last 13 free throws. Jermaine Kuznar made some big ones. Mike Kotsar made some big ones. So shout out to those guys. I don't know what happened. You just lock in. I don't know what it is. But whatever it is, you found a way. And that's what's important, at least on that night. This team has flaws. This team has deficiencies. There's no doubting that. I'm not arguing that point with anyone. But what this team also does have is fight, resiliency, and to win a game like that, you have to have character. And to win games like South Carolina's had, you have to have high character. And, really fun to watch. It was really fun to watch. And like I said, anytime you beat Georgia in any sport, doesn't matter what it is, it's a good night. And it was a stressful one. It was a stressful one, I ain't going to lie. But it was a good night at CLA, and we will take that victory and run with it. I can tell you that much right now. So, good stuff. Again, Cox get the win. Good stuff. To hell with Georgia, 100%. All right, let's move into baseball. We're talking South Carolina Clemson. I'm so fired up for this weekend, guys. You guys know me. I'm so pumped. I get about as pumped as this. I'll say I do. I get as pumped for this as I do for the football game. I am jacked up, fired up. Before we get into everything, though, I want to tell you about my friends over at Ag South Farm Credit, because the Spurs Up Show is brought to you by our friends at Ag South Farm Credit. Guys, most lenders don't understand land financing. Ag South Farm Credit specializes in land financing and has been doing it for over 100 years. They make loans for small and large acreage, hunting property, timberland, farm and pasture land, even home mortgages and construction. They have a ton of great benefits, including long-term fixed-rate financing for 20 years, down payments as low as 15%. They have competitive rates, and they pay an average of 25% of the interest back every year as what they call patronage. They're cooperative, so they share in their profits with their member borrowers. So, guys, for example, on a $300,000 loan at 6.5% for 20 years, you would get back $2,770 each year. They have an experienced lending staff that knows land and knows how to finance it. Guys, whether you're buying your first house, your dream house, a plot of land, whatever it may be, when you're making a big-time life decision like this, we know it can be stressful. It can be strenuous. You're spending a lot of money. You're just making a big-time decision, right? You want to make sure you have the right people surrounding you. You have the right support system, someone who's going to answer all your questions, take some of the stress off of you. When you're looking for a lender, Ag South Farm Credit, guys, they are the way to go. The people are amazing. Like I said, they're going to be there with you every single step of the way, basically holding your hand throughout the entire process. They're going to answer all of your questions for you, and they're just going to make life much, much easier on you throughout this process. One of the questions they get asked most often, when someone wants to buy some land, whatever it may be, their family, their spouse, and then, just an individual, whatever. When someone wants to buy land, what are the options on land loans, right? What are the options on land loans? So Ag South Farm Credit offers everything commercial banks offer, like balloon loans, but they also offer longer-term fixed-rate loans. So instead of a balloon loan where your interest rate expires and you risk your rate increasing, a fixed rate can never go up, but it can be lowered if the market allows, which is a great thing. The type of loan you get depends on how fast you want to pay it off and what you think your future cash flow is going to be like. So, guys, for more information on the type of land loans they offer, give them a call, 844-AG-SOUTH, or visit their website, agsouthfc.com/TSUS. Again, that's agsouthfc.com/TSUS. AgSouth's an equal housing lender, NMLS 619788. So, again, their website, agsouthfc.com/TSUS, or give them a call, 844-AG-SOUTH, and tell them Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent you. All right, let's talk some baseball, baby. I'm fired up. I am fired up for this weekend. Going to be at all three games, first off. I'm so excited. Was at all three games for the first time in my life, being able to go the entire series weekend last year. Obviously, Gamecocks take 2 of 3, so I'm pumped. I'm jacked up for this for real. But let's dive right into it. Clemson, obviously, the ACC, their head coach, Monty Lee, who, if you're a big Gamecock baseball fan, you are very, very, very familiar with Monty Lee. Obviously, coached with South Carolina back in the early to mid-2000s. Went to College of Charleston and then obviously got the Clemson job. Monty Lee's status at Clemson, though, very much up in the air. A situation for sure where I know the Tigers fans are frustrated. I think if you see Clemson, especially if they don't make the postseason, but I think another early postseason exit, and he's going to be certainly on the hot seat if not fired, which sounds crazy to me. I like Monty Lee. Everyone you talk to, he's a very well-respected guy across the state of South Carolina, as a damn good baseball coach. But for whatever reason, things just have not clicked in Clemson. But either way, he is their head coach. In 2019, a season ago, Clemson went 25-26, 15-15 in conference. They were picked to finish 5th in the ACC Atlantic this year by D1Baseball.com. So not exactly glowing reviews coming in this year, and there's reasons for that, which I'm going to get to in just a second. And as of right now, the Tigers are 7-1. They actually just lost their first game of the year in the midweek on Tuesday to East Tennessee State University, 5-3, which obviously set off Clemson Twitter, and it was glorious and it was fun to look at and all that good stuff. You take a look at this Clemson team, though, and we'll start with what is undoubtedly this team's strength, at least so far, and that is their pitching staff. 1.23 team ERA. Guys, coming into the midweek game Tuesday, 0.7 team ERA, 0.7. In last weekend's weekend series against Stony Brook, their pitching staff gave up just 1 unearned run. Obviously gave up 3 against East Tennessee State, but gave up just 1 unearned run in the entire weekend last weekend against Stony Brook. They did lose Jacob Hennessy in the preseason due to an arm injury. Pretty dependable left-handed pitcher, was a senior veteran. He's now on the coaching staff, I believe, as an assistant, sort of how Sawyer Bridges is now. But the pitching staff has certainly been the strength of this Clemson team thus far. You take a look at their starting rotation. They'll roll out their Friday left-handed pitcher Sam Weatherly, who's 1-0 with a .9 ERA. Saturday, right-handed pitcher Davis Sharp, who's 1-0 with a 0 ERA. And Sunday, right-handed pitcher Spencer Strider, who's 0-0 with a 0 ERA. So obviously those ERAs extremely low. I mean, you have to think, who has Clemson played? They've played Liberty. They've played Stony Brook. They've played, a lot of small teams like South Carolina. But those numbers, no matter how you slice them, very impressive. Again, 1.23 team ERA. I haven't looked at the national rankings, but that's got to be up there with one of the best team ERAs in the entire country. On the flip side, the hitting has been a struggle. The hitting has been a struggle for this Clemson team. And it's funny, looking on social media and looking at different Clemson fans and talking with different Clemson fans, they tell you that hitting's been a struggle, but you take a deep dive in the stats, and it is really shocking to me how bad they've been offensively. I mean, a 243 team average, which isn't good. It could be worse, but, it's not good, obviously. But only 2 home runs as a team in 8 games. 2. I mean, that's mind-blowing to me. 2 home runs. They're only averaging 3 runs per game against the competition they play. Again, the pitching for them has been phenomenal, but even against Liberty, those guys are winning games 1-0, 2-0. 3-1. Like, not exactly a score that's going to make you feel good if you're a Clemson fan. So the hitting has definitely been a struggle. And you take a look at who they lost, and you kind of say, now I can see why. They lost Grayson Bird, Kyle Wilkie, and Logan Davis in all the draft, amongst some other guys as well, but those being the big 3 that they lost from last year's team. it's been a struggle. And again, I know Clemson's going to be trying to find it this weekend against South Carolina, but it has been a real struggle for Tiger hitters and the Tiger offense this year, no question. You take a look at the players to watch for Clemson. Here's just a couple. Kier Meredith hitting .444 on the year. He leads their team. Really good guy there at the top of their lineup, so keep an eye on him. Elijah Henderson as well, .407 average outfielder for the Tigers. 4 RBIs on the year, 3 for 3 in stolen bases. So if he does get on, Clemson's not a team that runs a ton. They're 15 for 18 in stolen bases, so pretty good when they do go. But Henderson and Dylan Brewer, who is another outfielder, both tied with 3 stolen bases. Those guys are both 3 for 3. So definitely one of the speed threats for Clemson on the bases. And then Adam Hackenberg, .276 average, but leads the Tigers with 7 RBIs. And when you think of how few runs Clemson has scored, I mean, you take a look how many runs they've scored. They've scored 24 runs on this season. He has 7 of the RBIs. So that's a pretty impressive number when you think of just how little Clemson has scored this year. So, again, pitching good, hitting bad. What's going to give this weekend? You take a look at USC. Obviously, the Gamecocks rolling out the same starting rotation they have with Carmen Friday, Brett on Saturday, and Brandon Jordan on Sunday. What to watch for this weekend? For me, it all starts with, listen, guys, just the drama of rivalry weekend. Carolina Clemson. There's no rivalry better in college baseball, in the country, period. But college baseball terms, there is no better rivalry. This is it. This is the mecca of all the rivalries. Every single year, this rivalry, it never fails either, with the drama, with the suspense, with everything else. This is one where if you've got to get fired up for this weekend, especially, I mean, listen, I'm not even going to speak on the guys on the team or the coaches because that's a given. But if you have to get fired up for this weekend, you don't have a pulse. You don't have a pulse if you're not fired up for this weekend. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be, again, drama-filled. The emotions will be high. It truly has the feeling, especially since they went to the 3-game format, it has a super regional feeling to it. I mean, I find myself not saying that I'm not like this in the SEC series too, but this weekend just hits different. This weekend, you're hanging on every single pitch, similar to like a super regional type feel or a College World Series feel even. You are hanging on the balance of every single pitch. Every pitch matters. Again, not to say that it doesn't every other weekend, but this weekend, like I talked with Bobby Haney, it's just got a little bit of juice to it. It's got a little more juice to it than a normal weekend. So the drama, the suspense, folks, I think we're in for another just classic South Carolina Clemson weekend on the diamond. Speaking specifically on the field, what I'll be watching for. If you're a fan of pitching, guys, this just might be your weekend. And I'm a huge fan of pitching. I'd love to see our hitters tear up their arms, though. But if you were a fan of pitching overall, South Carolina's starting rotation has been very, very good this year. Clemson's entire pitching staff, including their starting rotation, has been phenomenal. We may see 3-2, 4-3, 2-1 type games. It might be that kind of weekend. I mean, honestly, the arms are going to be at a premium this weekend. So it's all going to come down to the little things as far as pitching is concerned. Who doesn't walk guys? Who doesn't make the mental mistakes of, getting behind 2-0, 3-0 with 2 outs and nobody on? Who makes the mental mistake of hitting a guy? Those small mistakes. That's what's going to be the difference in this series as far as on the mound's concerned. Because both these staffs are good. Both these staffs are really, really good. One thing for South Carolina specifically on their staff that I know I'm going to be watching for and everybody else will be as well is, can you depend on your bullpen? In a series like this where, again, a lot of drama, there's going to be a lot of situations that are high stress, you need a solid, better than solid. Your bullpen needs to be excellent. And obviously the Gamecocks, they've had some struggles with the bullpen. I'm still a huge believer in, and I'm very optimistic of the back end of this Gamecocks bullpen. I think the stuff they have back there is as good as anybody in the country. But you have to be able to throw strikes. You got to be able to fill the zone. You can't walk guys. We've seen that in different situations with Graham Lawson, with Danny Lloyd. Can't happen this weekend. It just absolutely can't. So can you depend on your bullpen? We're going to all be keeping a very, very close eye because I feel good about your starters. Carmen, obviously, tomorrow night. I feel great about him. At home, too, I feel phenomenal about his start. Brett Carey on Saturday, feel good. It seems like him, both Brett Carey and Brandon Jordan feel good about him, just need to keep the ball down. It's the biggest thing, but they should be fine. I feel good about those guys. The bullpen, though. The bullpen, the middle innings, they got to come through for you. They got to come through for you this weekend. Another thing I'll be watching for, I talked about these pitching staffs, and I talked about the strength of Clemson, and it is their pitching. Well, something's got to give. Can USC crack the Clemson staff? That's what I have here written down in my notes. Can USC hitters crack Clemson staff? Can they figure out the code that is the Clemson pitching staff? Again, you take a look at the Clemson starters. The ERAs, 0.90 and 0. I mean, that's legit. Again, I don't care who you're facing. I don't care who the competition is. Those are some big-time numbers. I'll be very intrigued to see what the approaches are like, because in a series like this, you need to stay within yourself. It's kind of like I talked about early in the week. Hey, if you're not a home run hitter, don't try to be something you're not. Know what your strengths are and play to it. Don't try to get too big or be a hero because it's the Clemson series. It's still baseball. Play to your strengths. Stick to what you're good at. Stay up the middle. Stay right side. I expect to see, honestly, with Clemson's staff being a strength, I expect to see South Carolina put the ball in motion, put runners in motion, use the small ball. I do. I really expect to see it because I think runs could be at a premium. But I also think South Carolina obviously has a huge power advantage. I mean, Clemson with just 2 home runs. South Carolina had 2 home runs on Tuesday alone. So you've got a huge power advantage. I still like this team as far as the approach, as far as, Mark Kingston cited this, I believe, yesterday, that his team is hitting the ball very, very hard. Even when they're making outs, they're hard outs. You keep making swings like that, they're going to fall. But this weekend, and it kind of leads to my next point as far as what I'm looking for, this weekend is not going to define your season necessarily. It's not. Because, hell, look at last year. You beat Clemson 2-3 and you whip them on Sunday, and we're all feeling good about everything, and then the season goes down the drain. Obviously, you lost Carmen that series as well, which had a huge impact. But, again, this series is not going to define your season, but we're going to learn a lot. There's just no question. We're going to learn a lot about both teams. We're going to learn a lot about South Carolina's hitters. We're going to learn about their pitching staff, their bullpen, how they handle pressure. Because, again, this is – especially for these new guys. This is going to be something completely different for them. This is foreign territory for these new guys. So we're going to learn a lot about both squads for sure. And it brings me to my final point, which I kind of just touched on a second ago. The thing that I'm looking for, and maybe the question of the weekend, is just which young team handles the moment. Both these teams have a lot of fresh faces. Both these teams are depending on a lot of new guys this year in this 2020 season. Which team of young guys handles it the best? Because, again, this is the kind of weekend where these guys are going to feel something different they haven't felt all season. And they're probably going to feel something different they've never felt playing baseball before, and just period. And again, at the end of the day, it is baseball, and you'll settle in and you'll play your game. But the emotions of this weekend, there's nothing that can compare to it. And I know that the older guys that South Carolina has, the Graham Lawsons, the Andrew Eisters, the Brady Allens, the Noah Campbells, the Carmens, all those guys, Brett Carey, they're all going to be giving advice to these younger guys. But, you think of South Carolina, guys like Brandon Jordan, Braylon Wimmer, Noah Myers, Jeff Heinrich, Colin Burge. The list goes on and on. And, again, not all those guys are in-state guys, but it's just a different – again, talking with Bobby Haney. He's from New York. He didn't have any idea about the Carolina-Clemson rivalry, but when you get into it, you find out very, very fast. And that hate sets in. So which of these teams is going to handle the moment the best? I think which of these teams embrace the moment? That's going to tell you a lot, obviously, as well. My key player for the weekend. I went back and forth on this one. My key player of the weekend, and there's just a lot of different candidates, offensively, defensively, whatever. I think Carmen's a huge key to this weekend. I think winning that Friday night game is going to be imperative to winning this series. I mean, this year is in your favor because you play at Founders Park Friday night at 7. Saturday, you're at Sagra Park in Columbia at 3 o'clock first pitch. So, I mean, you got 2 games in Columbia. And then Sunday, obviously, you're in Clemson, 2 o'clock to finish out the series. To me, winning that Friday night game is so imperative. You look offensively, a guy like Wes Clark, I think still needs to continue to be big in the middle of the line. I think a guy like Noah Myers being a leadoff for you, he could be a huge key. Noah Campbell, George Khalil defensively and offensively. But to me, when I look, the key player for this weekend, and I mentioned a little bit earlier just how important the bullpen is. In a series like this, where there's going to be a lot of high pressure, a lot of stressful moments, a lot of moments you're going to need to get an out. You're going to need to make a pitch. You're going to have to turn to a guy like Danny Lloyd. You're just going to have to. And he's going to be my key player of the weekend. I think you'll see him more than once. I mean, listen, I'd love to see him none. That means we're kicking their ass. I mean, I'd love to not see him at all. But in reality, you're going to see Danny Lloyd. You got to be able to depend on him. He's going to have to make high-pressure pitches. Again, I expect to probably see him twice. He's going to have to make high-pressure pitches in high-pressure situations. Stuff is there. 95, 96, and an 87, 88-mile-an-hour slider. The stuff is there. Got to throw strikes. Got to embrace the moment. We saw him last year as a freshman. Didn't always embrace the moment like you'd like to see. And again, he was a true freshman. Not holding it against him. He's got to elevate his game to another level, though. That entire bullpen does, but it's all led, in my opinion, by Danny Lloyd. He's the dude. He is the dude. When you're the closer, you're the dude. He's got an opportunity to really, I think, make South Carolina fans feel good again about the state of the bullpen. Because, again, listen, I'm not worried at all. He's got the stuff. The stuff's there. Know the kid. Know his family. Great makeup. Great people. Got good character. Everything. No worries. No worries for this kid. He's going to have a ton of success. But this weekend, they need him to be the dude. No question in my mind. They're going to turn to him a lot, and when he gets his number called, he needs to deliver. So I think Danny Lloyd is your key player for the weekend. My prediction overall for the series. It's kind of funny coming in this one because I think both fan bases are very, very, very nervous right now, which is really interesting. I think both fan bases are very nervous. Clemson has not been able to hit worth a damn. I mean, they're 7-1, but again, they're averaging 3 runs a game, y'all. They haven't been able to hit. And then South Carolina has just been so damn inconsistent. And, you lose a series in Northwestern, that's obviously going to set everything off. So both teams have had their problems, and it's like both teams' fan bases are sweating a little bit, sweating early, especially with South Carolina coming off the season they had a year ago. And Clemson had a bad year too. I mean, listen, they had a bad year. But both fan bases are sweating, which I think is crazy. But I'll be honest with you guys. I mean, I have not lost faith in this team. I still think this is a good ball club. The Northwestern series was what it was. It sucks. It stunk. I already covered all that and broke it all down. I'm still very optimistic about this team, though. And to be honest with you, I feel great about this weekend. I really do. I mean, to be honest with you, our pitching should have a field day. Listen, I'll eat my words. I'll eat crow if they don't. But our pitching should have a field day on these guys. Carmen Mlodzinski, hey, tomorrow night at Founders Park, my game plan is You hand Mr. Majinski the ball and say, hey, man, go get him, Dave. You can go 9. It's yours. Take it. It's your game. We will let you go as long as you can go, as long as you want to go. As long as your stuff's still good, we're keeping you in. Bottom line. I think Carmen can eat. I think Brett and Brandon can both eat. I hope to see Thomas Farr this weekend. He needs to pitch. TJ Shook, he needs to pitch. Graham Lawson and Danny Lloyd can eat too. They just got to throw strikes. Julian Bosnick might need to get in there and pitch. Get a lefty. Get your lefty out. And then overall, offensively, I know how good Clemson has been. I know how good Clemson has been as far as their ERA, their pitching staff. And it's going to be a challenge for South Carolina. Again, I expect at least one of these games, if not a couple, to be lower scoring type games where runs are tough to come by. But I don't know. 2 games in Columbia. You won this series a year ago. You have your guy this year, Carmen, and he's throwing his – but, last year when Carmen went, he was struggling. He was a different guy. This year you've got good Carmen going. I mean, he's – the way he's spinning the baseball, this is knock on wood. But I'd just be shocked if South Carolina lost that game tomorrow night at Founders Park. I'd be – and that's why I said I think it's so imperative to win it, because I find it hard to think of how they're going to lose it, to be perfectly honest with you. So I've got South Carolina winning this series 2 out of 3. I really think they could sweep. I don't know how Clemson's going to hit South Carolina's pitching. I really don't. And I think the Gamecocks will be able to score just enough. South Carolina has something Clemson doesn't, which is power. And I mean, this is by far the best offensive team this Clemson pitching staff has faced. There's no doubt. There's no denying that. There's no debating that. Even with the struggles, this team's hitting 280. Even with the struggles. Delete that. Even with the struggles, this team top to bottom has got a ton of good hitters, scary 1 through 9. So I think South Carolina will score enough, and I think the pitching dominates this weekend. So I've got South Carolina winning the series 2 out of 3, winning the rivalry series for the second year in a row, and hopefully using this weekend again to sort of learn a little bit more about yourself and, kind of get the ball rolling. Because you got this series, 2 midweekers next week, a non-conference series, I think another midweek, and then you're in SEC play. I mean, it gets real serious real fast. So, use this series to learn about yourself, but get some momentum. And I think South Carolina will. I do. I feel very, very confident. I feel, for whatever reason, again, I feel very confident. Feel really good about this one. So I've got the Gamecocks winning 2 of 3, and I think the two will be Friday, Saturday. I think South Carolina wins both the Columbia games. If they lose a third, it'd be the one in Clemson, but I feel good about it. I think South Carolina wins it. I think they win 2 of 3 in the series, so it should be a lot of fun. All right, got a couple listener questions here, and then we'll get into our interview with Grayson Griner. First question, CP3_presents. Can Birch single-handedly make this Gamecock defense dominant, and what's your season prediction? So obviously, again, tomorrow I'll be talking a lot more about spring practice and really, my thoughts on Jordan Birch. Going to mention him in there as well, but can he single-handedly do it? No. He's going to need help. Zach Pickens needs to step up defensively. Rick Sanders needs to step up. Aaron Sterling, J.J. Nigbari need to have big years for this team. At the linebacker position, Sherrod Green, Ernest Jones, J.C. Horn, and Israel McClamu in the secondary. Jamie Robinson in the secondary. He's going to need help. He's going to need other guys. He can certainly be a piece of a dominant defense, but he's not going to single-handedly like a Jadeveon. Even Jadeveon Clowney wasn't a one-man wrecking crew. I mean, you have to remember who Clowney was surrounded by. It's not just going to be a one-guy thing. It's got to be all 11 of those guys. So I think he can certainly help. I think he can be a big impact, but it's not just going to be a one-man wrecking crew of Jordan Birch. Mason _ Crow 48. Can we let the season play out before fans start screaming fire Kingston? Like, damn. I mean, listen, I agree with you. I appreciate the frustration because fans expect excellence, and I get that. But definitely, baseball is a long season. You got to let it play out. Let's see what happens. If South – listen, If South Carolina misses the postseason this year in baseball, I will say 100% throw all of your frustration, negativity, whatever at Kingston, because he'll deserve it at that point. But let's see if that happens. Let's see. Last question. CP3 _ presents. What is the Achilles heel with this Gamecocks basketball team besides free throw troubles? The Achilles heel is bad defense at the perimeter. It's just. Obviously you already took free throw shooting, but I just think the defense, porous defense, at the point of attack as far as on the perimeter, that's what kills this team. When you're getting outshot from the 3-point line, it's just hard to win games. So hold your own defensively outside, make a few free throws. You're going to be all right. But to me, that's the other Achilles heel for sure. But no, it's going to be a fun finish to the season. We got 3 SEC games, 3 games left in the SEC tournament. It's going to be drama-filled and dramatic, if nothing else, for sure. All right, got a fantastic interview, guys. Former Gamecocks catcher, current Detroit Tigers catcher, Grayson Greiner. Grayson, phenomenal dude. Really appreciate him taking the time. We had a fantastic conversation. We talk about his USC career, which was phenomenal. He went to the College World Series, had a couple walk-off grand slams in his time, beat Clemson, had a great career in Garnet and Black, and then also his current time right now with Detroit. He's actually at spring training down in Florida. So, again, really appreciate him taking that time away from his busy schedule. It's a great interview, guys. Be sure to stay tuned. Check it out. And it's all brought to you by our friends over at SeatGeek. Guys, if you need tickets to any of the Carolina-Clemson baseball games this weekend, South Carolina basketball, football, concerts, comedy club events, professional sporting events, you name it, go download the SeatGeek app or go to SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code SPURSUP. That's SPURSUP to save $20 off your first purchase. Guys, SeatGeek has tickets to literally anything and everything. Like I said, it doesn't have to be Gamecock sporting events, but they've got that. Hey, concerts. Post Malone is Saturday night. If you are going to that and you're not going to come to my watch party, just know that I'm very mad at you. But if you're going to that and you need tickets, you can save $20. I know those tickets are expensive. Any professional sporting event, MLB, NHL, NBA, XFL, if you want to go watch that, the NFL, whatever it is, you can get tickets to whatever you like. They've got a great ticket rating system which rates the tickets for you based on the type of deal you're getting. So, guys, SeatGeek does all the work for you. There's none of this scalping. You don't have to determine, what am I paying versus what are they paying, yada, yada, yada. SeatGeek's going to show you exactly where you're sitting, what you're paying, the type of deal you're getting. You're going to know up front, am I getting ripped off? Am I getting a steal? Whatever. They're going to do all of that work for you. So all you have to do is click that buy button. And when you do click it, all you have to worry about is having a good time at the event. They're going to give you that peace of mind. It's so awesome how SeatGeek has just simplified the ticket buying process. So again, that's our friends at SeatGeek. Be sure to go download the SeatGeek app or go to SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code SPURSUP. That's SPURSUP to save $20 off your first purchase. All right, enjoy this interview with former Gamecocks catcher Grayson Greiner. All right, joining us today on the Spurs Up Show is a man that played for Gamecocks baseball from 2012 to 2014. During his career, he hit .278, had 18 home runs and 120 RBIs. The accolades, there's a long list of them. In 2012, he was a freshman All-American, second-team All-SEC in 2013, SEC All-Defensive Team in 2014. He was also named to the USA Collegiate Baseball National Team in 2012 and 2013. In 2014, he was drafted by the Detroit Tigers in the third round of the MLB draft and is currently a catcher for the Detroit Tigers, busy with spring training, getting ready for another upcoming season. I'm very pleased to be joined by former Gamecocks catcher and current Detroit Tigers catcher, Grayson Greiner. Grayson, appreciate you taking the time, man. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Those make me sound a lot better than I actually am, so thank you.
No, well-deserved. So I want to go back to the beginning for you, Grayson, way back to your high school days, because I think it's interesting for those that maybe forgot or don't know. You're a kid from Columbia, South Carolina. You played your high school baseball at Blythewood. Obviously a very highly regarded prospect in high school. Just kind of talk about your recruitment, if you will. I know, obviously college baseball recruiting starts so early. But just talk about the recruiting process for you. Obviously, you're coming up in the middle of South Carolina's in the middle of this great run. Was it ever a question for you? I mean, did you ever have any doubt that you were going to South Carolina? I mean, just talk about that recruiting process.
Not really. My freshman year of high school, I went on some visits to Georgia, North Carolina, Clemson, College of Charleston, and South Carolina. I did like kind of a camp series, like 5 straight weekends, went to those 5 different camps and saw all the campuses and everything. And I actually fell in love with Georgia pretty quickly when I went on that visit. And after that visit, Coach Holbrook and Coach Tanner called me up and said, "Hey, if you commit to us, we'll kind of hold off on recruiting any other catchers in your class." And I sat down with my parents, and I was like, I'm probably going to end up going to Carolina anyways. I might as well just commit now. And it turned out to be, probably the best decision of my life. My dad played basketball there. My grandfather played football there. I lived closer to my college campus than my high school campus. So I kind of always knew I was going to end up there. And it was a dream of mine since I was a little kid.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Andy Demetra, when he was the radio guy here, I remember he did a story. I wrote a letter to my mom when I was 8 years old saying I'm going to play at Carolina and play in the big leagues. So it was she has that framed up in her bedroom, which is pretty cool. Just when I was 8, I pretty much knew what I wanted to do, and it's pretty cool. I'm very blessed that it turned out like that.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I was going to say, your dad, Mark, obviously lettered in basketball 73 to 76. And like you said, your grandfather playing football at Carolina. It seemed like you were pretty much destined to be a Gamecock, no question. No
doubt. I'm the biggest Gamecock sports fan there is. I follow all the sports all the time. I watch every basketball game, obviously every football game. And when I can, I keep track with the baseball team, see how they're doing. And, I just always wanted to play there, and it was really cool my junior and senior years getting to watch them win national championships and get to walk in as a freshman and go to a national championship. It was very special. I made lifelong friendships that are still some of my best friends to this day.
Yeah, I was going to say it had to make you feel pretty good about the decision to go to South Carolina. And ask you about that. So you get on campus, obviously, fall of 2011. Fall of 2011. Again, you're talking about a program that's just coming off back-to-back national championships. There's, even before then, I was talking with somebody else, even before then, the expectation of South Carolina baseball has always been excellence, getting to Omaha, the whole 9 yards. Just talk about, though, you're coming in as a true freshman. What was that like, I guess, jumping into that culture of, excellence? It's winning. It's back-to-back national titles. There's no question what the goal is in your freshman season.
Yeah, you kind of gotta flip the switch from being a fan to being a contributor. I remember, I don't know, probably first or second weekend my freshman year, having to go out of the mound and talk to Michael Roth. And this was a couple months, or maybe 8-9 months after watching him do what he did out in Omaha, and I had to figure out what to say to a senior that has every accolade in the books, where I'm just a freshman trying to find my way. So I had to grow up real quick, and the winning culture that guys like Michael and Christian and Evan, all those guys, they taught us how to win and how to do things the right way. And obviously getting to play for Coach Tanner was a blessing. So you have to grow up quick. It's a different game from high school. You go from being the best player on your team and one of the best players in the state to being just another guy trying to compete. So there's a lot of growing up quick you have to do at the college level, and it expedites even more once you get in the pro ball.
Yeah, you brought up Coach Tanner. Just talk about your first interactions with him. Obviously, again, committing as a freshman, I know that relationship was building for quite some time, but we know he can be tough. He obviously demands the best out of his guys, but just talk about, when you first got to South Carolina, I guess those first interactions with Coach Ray Tanner.
I guess my first interactions would have been freshman year of high school. I remember going to a camp over at Sarge Fry, and then once they built the new stadium, walking around with a hard hat with him and Coach Holbrook, just seeing what the new stadium was going to be. He's a lot friendlier when he's recruiting you than when he's coaching you. When he's coaching you, he's tough to play for, but he expects the best out of his players, and he's carried that into the athletics department. He expects the best from all his teams, and he's a great man, a great leader. I talk to him to this day and see him when I can in the off season. So he was definitely tough on me and Joey and Tanner and Jordan, that freshman class we had come in, because there were some older guys there on that team in 2012, but there's a lot of us in that freshman class that played quite a bit, and he expected the most out of us and made us grow up quickly, and can't thank him enough for everything he did for me and my family. Same goes to Coach Holbrook. They're two of the best men you'll find.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to talk about that freshman year, Grace, and obviously 2012. It's kind of a mixed bag, some good, some bad, sort of what you expect from a freshman year. But, I mean, you hit 222, but you started 53 games, 6 homers, 32 RBIs, and like you said, on a team that made it to the College World Series final. I was joking with Nolan Belcher, who we just had on the show, that 2012 team is like the forgotten team at South Carolina, I feel like. I mean, you see all on YouTube, the highlights of 10 and 11 and winning the title. I'm like, people forget 2012. You guys made it to the final, and for most other programs, that is like the best season ever in their history. But because you don't win it, everybody's that like kind of goes as the forgotten year, which I just think is kind of funny. But just talk about as a true freshman, we're really getting thrust into action. Again, you start 53 games on a team that goes to the College World Series final. I guess you talked about flipping the switch and having to grow up really quickly, going from a fan to a contributor. What was that freshman season like for you?
Like you said, it had a lot of ups and downs. I went from hitting 500 my whole life to hitting 222, and playing in the SEC as a 19-year-old, these advanced and experienced pitchers will expose you pretty quickly. And I didn't do a good enough job making adjustments offensively, but since I was a little kid, I always kind of put most of my focus defensively with my position as a catcher. You can help your team in a lot of ways as a catcher, as opposed to, say, a left fielder, just by the way you handle the pitching staff and, keep balls in front of you, control the running game, all kinds of stuff like that. But I was I was kind of, surprised a lot of the times that Coach Tanner kept running me out there when I would go through a bunch of, tough times. But he kept sticking with me, and we made it to the finals, and I got to start the national championship as a freshman, which was really cool for me, a cool experience. And I wish we would have got the three-peat. That would have been amazing. I remember I made the last out of the national championship, flew out to right field for Arizona to win it. Walking past that dog pile was pretty tough. I wish I was on the bottom of it.
No question. I wanted to ask you just, again, because 2012 was the year you went to Omaha. I mean, just can you even describe, I guess – because, again, I know it was sort of a business-like approach with that team because, again, you've won it back-to-back, and there's no question what the expectation, the goal is. But, I tell people you just got to realize how tough it is to even get there, to get to the final. You know what I mean? Like, so it's still a very special thing. I mean, what was the Omaha experience like for you despite the end result?
It was kind of a blur, honestly. I don't remember a whole lot from it. Everything moves so fast. You're there in our case, we were there for about 2 weeks, and it went by so fast. But it felt like we got there, and the next thing you know, we were playing in the national championship. I remember the Arkansas game where Jordan Montgomery threw really well, and I remember we had to beat them twice to make it to the finals, and we just had some unreal performances at the plate. It was, like you said, it's an amazing experience. The goal right when we get to Carolina, especially in our case, after coming off back-to-back championships, the goal was to win another one, and we came really close. And like you said, you don't realize how hard it is. My sophomore and junior years, we didn't make it to Omaha, and you got humbled a little bit, and you realize you're not going to be able to ride that wave at the top, forever. And just hopefully our fans and, as a player that is not playing there anymore, I can kind of, reason with the fans that it's not going to happen every year. It's
Right.
that stretch from 2010 to 2012 was a very special stretch, and hopefully it'll always be remembered like that, and hopefully we can get back there again soon.
Yeah, no question. So I do want to ask you, obviously, again, Coach Tanner and Coach Holbrook both recruited you, obviously, but in 2012 after the season, I think it was that fall, Coach Tanner made it official. He was stepping down, retiring, moving to the AD role, which he's obviously in now. Chad Holbrook taking over. I'm sure it was a seamless transition because I've talked with other guys before, and, they all kind of said the same thing as we just assumed just to keep on winning. I mean, it's the same guy. Coach Holbrook was there through all the titles, and, nothing was really going to change him. There's obviously a slight change when a new guy takes over, but just kind of talk about for you personally when you got the news, finding out Coach Tanner stepping down, Coach Holbrook's getting the job. I guess what was going through your head when that was all going down?
Yeah, pretty similar to what you were just talking about. The guys in the past have said. It was just the ball is going to keep on rolling with Coach Holbrook. He was a great coach, great man, and it was obviously disappointing for a lot of us that Coach Tanner was leaving, but I think he was moving on to bigger and better things, kind of something he always wanted to do, and there was never any bad feelings about, oh, I committed here. You said you were going to be here. There was nothing like that. I think a lot of guys committed to play there to put on the garnet and black. I'm not sure guys committed there just to play for Coach Tanner, and if he left, they were going to leave. It was
right.
Ball was going to keep rolling on. Coach Holbrook was there through all the success, and he was a great coach to play for. Very thankful for a lot of things he did for me and my career and my family. So, Coach Tanner's doing good things now, and Coach Kingston's doing good things now. So the baseball program has been one of the best programs at our school for a long time, and I'm sure it's going to stay that way.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did Coach Tanner, because I asked this to guys now, and obviously, Coach Tanner is more than immersed in his AD role, if you will, but right when it happened, did he stay pretty involved with baseball? Did he kind of step back and just let Coach Holbrook do his thing, or did you guys was he still around the facility a lot, or was it kind of he just made the transition and boom, it was like, did he try to stay involved at all, I guess?
No, he wasn't around a whole lot. He was, I think he kind of just wanted Coach Holbrook to run the program, and he knew Coach Holbrook could run the program, at an elite level. So, we didn't see him a whole lot. We saw him sometimes on game days, but it wasn't like he was coming out there and throwing batting practice and hitting fungos or anything like that. Right. But, he's got to run an entire athletics department. So I can't imagine everything that's on his plate. It's not like he could set those things aside and come spend his whole day with the baseball program. So that's what he signed up for, and that's kind of how it was. Is he let Coach Holbrook run it how he wanted to, and in a lot of ways it was very Coach Holbrook learned under Coach Tanner for a long time. So a lot of the things we did as far as practice routine and everything stayed the same.
For sure. So I want to switch gears a little bit, Grayson, really quickly. When you take a look at you on the roster, obviously you're a guy 6'6", 239. That's at least what the Tigers have you listed at. But you are a big catcher. I remember watching you at South Carolina and thinking this is a gigantic catcher. Not that catchers aren't normally big, but 6'6" is very big for a catcher. I just want to get your insight kind of growing up. What attracted you to the position? Because I always joke with people that, catchers are a different breed of human being. You have to be wired a little differently to want to go back there and take that beating that you guys take all game. And I think you guys are probably honestly a little underappreciated for what you do. But I guess what attracted you to the position, and just talk about playing that position at your size, if you will.
Yeah, I started as a shortstop in Little League, and I think just one day we needed a catcher, and there's a picture of me when I was, 8, 9 years old in catching gear. So I guess that's about the age I started catching. I have the worst memory on earth, but I kind of just fell in love with the position, being involved on every pitch. And I kind of consider myself a very cerebral, kind of nerdy kind of guy. So I love the chess game we have back there as far as calling pitches and reading swings and knowing what a guy's looking for and trying to counter that. And I really fell in love with the position, and I didn't know I was going to grow up to be 6'6", but that hadn't stopped me so far. A lot of, when I got to high school, I think my freshman year of high school, I sprouted up to 6'5". So I heard a lot of people saying he's going to have to switch to first base. He's going to have to be a pitcher, all this stuff. And my dad, who's a huge influence on my life, just always told me, don't let what anybody says, deter you from doing what you want to do. He's like, do you want to catch? I was like, yeah, I want to catch my entire life, my entire career. And I just continue to work on it. It's being 6'6" makes some things tough. The long limbs, you have to really focus on your quickness and agility back there as far as blocking and getting out of your crouch to throw. And it's what I love doing is trying to hone that craft. And I didn't realize how hard it was when I got to the big leagues as far as the scouting reports and the game calling goes, but it's like nothing you'd ever believe. All the data we have and putting together a scouting report each and every day with each pitcher, with each lineup, it's crazy, but I love it. I love doing it as my job, and I'm going to keep doing it as long as they let me go back there.
For sure. So I want to ask you this as well, kind of a funny thing. So obviously we've had your boy Joey on the show. I know you guys are really close. And we talk, I think he and I talked about this, but one of the things that was most noticeable, obviously, when you played at South Carolina was the kind of the hitch, the little hitch throwing back to the pitcher. And I think maybe it was Joey said it, maybe somebody else, that at one point I think you got the yips or something. But just it's kind of funny looking back now. Because I think for the longest time, everybody was like, what is going on? Like, nobody had a clue.
Yeah.
Like, does he just throw like that? Like, what's the deal? Give people kind of an insight, like the story behind that.
No, it was completely mental. I mean, I just, woke up one day and it was like I had never thrown a baseball before. It's happened to athletes in all realms of sports, golf, baseball. It just happens. And I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It's something that eats at you between the ears. And the only way to really get out of it is to keep throwing, and one day it just clicks, and thank the Lord it clicked for me one day to remember how to throw again. But it was not fun having your own fans yell at you to throw it back to the mound, and trust me, I didn't want to have that problem, and it sucked, but I think it's something that made me stronger mentally, and learned to deal with adversity and deal with that kind of thing. But it definitely wasn't a fun thing, and I'm glad it's past me. But that 1 month or 2 month stretch where I had it was rough, honestly.
No doubt. So I want to move in that 2013 season for you, Grayson, because again, second team All SEC. You were also named to the NCAA Regional All Tournament team that year. You take a look, 298, 4 homers, 38 RBIs. I guess what clicked for you, or what changed in your game? I know your junior year was your breakout year, obviously, but obviously a big jump that sophomore year, and you started basically every game for South Carolina. What do you attribute, I guess, that sophomore year being second team All SEC? Like, what were the things in your game that you think improved the most from year 1 to year 2?
Just comfort level and using the whole field. I think when I got to Carolina my freshman year, I was real pull happy and trying to hit the ball out of the park, because that's what I did in high school. I could, the pitchers in high school aren't gonna break the radar gun by any means. So you can kind of just do what you want to do. And I wanted to hit home runs, so I got to college and realized quickly I wasn't gonna be able to do that. And just a lot of work in the off season on taking what pitchers give you and controlling the strike zone and hitting the ball the other way. And by no means did I have it figured out or anything. I had a better year than my freshman year, but just the continued growth, trying to get better every day. And I'm still trying to learn how to hit. I'm 27 years old now, so it's a ongoing process. Hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in all of sports, in my opinion. So unless your name is Mike Trout, nobody's really got it figured out.
No question. So, and then I want to talk about, again, that 2014 year. I mean, you hit 311, which you can correct me if I'm wrong here, because I was looking at the bio here. I don't see All SEC, which seems absurd. Maybe I missed that, or they didn't put that in there. But if you weren't All SEC, I don't understand that snub, if you will. But either way, whatever. You hit 311, 8 homers, 50 RBIs, tore it up. Obviously, baseball fans know your junior year, that's your money year. That's the year you have leverage as a prospect. Just, I guess, talk about the mindset going into that season. Because, again, I know you as a player, you block that out, but as a player that it's your junior season and you want to have your best year and, make that jump to the big leagues. Just talk about that junior year, kind of the approach again. I know you're saying, more comfortable. You obviously had a ton of at-bats at this point under your belt, but that junior season, it really all seemed to click for you.
Yeah, it was certainly my best year in college. I'm not going to lie and say I wasn't thinking about the draft, because anybody that tells you that is right. Probably lying. But I was putting the majority and 99% of my focus into getting us back to Omaha and trying to become a better leader. It's kind of my freshman year, I was just a young freshman trying to find my feet and contribute any way I can. And when I got to my junior year, I felt like I had to really take on a leadership role and some nights, carry us as a team, both defensively and do everything I could to get us some runs offensively. But mechanics wise, swing wise, like I said, just continuing to build, continuing to control the strike zone. And I had some good moments that year. As a team, we came up short there in the regionals, but it was a good year offensively, and helped me get drafted. So it was fun, and looking back now, it was definitely one of my better years.
Yeah, I was going to say one of those nights you carried the South Carolina baseball team, and obviously with it being this week, I think it's kind of perfect, Grayson, because I want to talk about that grand slam you had against Clemson, and you guys had a lot of success against Clemson while you were there. But a grand slam, you had a career high 5 RBIs in that game, 9-6 win at Founders Park, which I know had to make it sweet. But we are talking. It is Carolina Clemson week. Obviously, this weekend the Gamecocks going to take on the Tigers. The best rivalry in all of college baseball. For you growing up a South Carolina fan, like you said, being truly a diehard fan, your father playing there, grandfather, all of that, what did that rivalry mean to you? Because I know surely it means a lot to you now, but as a player, when you got to South Carolina, just expand on that rivalry, what it was like for you personally.
It was huge. I mean, I was raised to pretty much hate Clemson in all facets of life. So that first game, I have a terrible memory, but I do remember that series very vividly. The first game was amazing, hitting that grand slam. Kind of, I think we were down, 6-0 or 6-1 or something. Kind of got us back in the game, and we rode that momentum out to a big win against Gossett, who was a fantastic pitcher for them. Pitched in the big league, still pitching. So I think that got us on the right foot for the series, and then we went on to sweep them. I think in 3 years we were 9-2 against them, so that was extra sweet for me personally. Just beating those guys. There's a lot of great players on those teams. Guys I've played with and against here in pro ball, and it's always nice to have that upper hand on them that we beat them back in those years.
No question. So I think what's crazy, too, that 2014 season, I mean, to have a grand slam in your career, just one is phenomenal. You had 2 in a season, and the other one was a walk-off grand slam, 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, 6-5 game. I mean, literally the way you draw it up in your head as a little kid. 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, you're down 1, you come up with the bases loaded, hit a grand slam, an absolute bomb against Tennessee, get the win. I mean, can you even describe the rush of emotions when you hit that ball and it's out?
Not really. It was awesome. I remember the crazy thing about that whole day was that Jordan Gore was a freshman, and he had a walk-off home run earlier that day on a rainout game. So we had 2 walk-off home runs against Tennessee in one day, which I don't know if that's ever been done, but it was a special day getting to celebrate with my teammates at home plate and the party we had in the clubhouse afterwards. And it was pretty. We were all together that night after the game, and we had ESPN on in the background, and the Sports Center top 10 plays came on, and me and Gore were talking. We're like, we might have a chance to be on this thing, and it got like past 8. We're like, nah, they're not going to put college baseball on Sports Center, and it got down to like 3-2, and we kind of gave up, and then number 1 came on, and it was us. We went nuts. So that was a special day, and like you said, it was just a rush of emotion to hit a walk-off grand slam. It's pretty funny. Our left fielder with the Tigers, Kristen Stewart, was in left field for that game for Tennessee, and in the video you can see him just slam his glove to the ground right when I hit it. It's pretty funny, and I always give him a hard time about that.
That's awesome. So, obviously, in that 2014 season for you, Grayson, phenomenal year. Did everything you need to do. You're taking the 2014 MLB draft, 3rd round by the Detroit Tigers. Just talk to me about, obviously, since you've been playing the ball, since you've been playing baseball, picked up a baseball, that's the dream. You realize that you're drafted 3rd round by Detroit. Just talk about when you get that phone call. What was that like?
It was cool. We had like a family gathering over at my grandparents' house, friends and family, and it was funny because the first day of the draft is rounds 1 and 2, and I didn't get selected. And my agent called me that night. He said, "Hey, the Athletics are going to take you with their pick in the 3rd round tomorrow, so be prepared." So I had like an Athletics hat on over at my grandparents' house. We were all jazzed up, and Detroit was 2 picks before the Athletics. And, my agent texted me. He was like, "Hey, watch for the Tigers. They might take you right here." And sure enough, I believe my area scout for the Tigers called me and told me they were selecting me. So that threw me a little bit of a curveball there, but I was thrilled to be picked by the Tigers. They're an amazing organization, and I've been blessed to be with them my whole career. I think I'm going on year 7 now with them. So just a great organization, and I was so thrilled when they picked me that day. And it sucks that out of 30, however many baseball teams, the one mascot that are the Tigers is who picked me, but that's all right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Good.
I did not even think of that.
Yeah, I always have friends and family ask me to sign baseballs or whatever, saying "Go Tigers," and it always feels kind of weird.
Say go Detroit instead.
Yeah, go Detroit.
Yeah, so obviously, you're taken by the Tigers. You start that kind of minor league grind, if you will, that we all hear about. Make your major league debut May the 6th, 2018. Take me back to that date. You get the call up. I can't imagine how thrilled you were when you got the actual call that you were going to be making your debut, but just give people an idea because, again, that's not something many people get the opportunity to do. What was that like? Just take me through that entire day.
Oh, well, I actually got it was May 3rd. We were in Durham, North Carolina, playing the AAA team for the Rays, the Durham Bulls, and it's not too far from Columbia. So my dad and my wife and at the time he was, I guess, 3-month-old son, they drove up for that series, and it was just a normal day. I was starting at catcher, went out for batting practice, and I came back in. And our manager, Doug Mankiewicz, put up a new lineup card, and my name wasn't in the lineup, and it wasn't on the card at all. So I was a little confused, and I looked on my phone and saw on Twitter that Miguel Cabrera was injured, and our backup catcher in Detroit also played some first base. So I started to put the pieces together a little bit, but I couldn't assume anything, and I had to go watch us play the Bulls, just sit in the dugout. And that was about 3 hours, so I was just a nervous wreck the whole time. And finally, right after the game, the manager called me in and told me I was called up. So, I was flushed with emotions, happy, just ecstatic. And my dad, I texted my wife and said, "Y'all hang out in the stands. Something might be happening." So they waited, and I walked out of the dugout and saw them in the stands, and threw my arms up in the air, and they just all went nuts. And me and my dad just had a big hug, started crying together because it's kind of what we worked for our whole life, and it was an amazing moment. And then May 4th, that morning, I flew from Durham up to Kansas City to meet the team, play the Royals. I didn't start the 4th, didn't start the 5th, and then I started the Sunday day game on May 6th, and got to hit my first at bat, which was really cool, and just an amazing feeling. You worked for, I've always heard the saying, it takes 10,000 hours of preparation for one moment of success, and that kind of all came to fruition, all the hard work, and amazing. Had Joey Pancake flew out for the game to watch me. That was awesome. Got to hang out with him for a weekend, and it was really cool. The only thing that kind of stunk about my debut was Whit Merrifield stole 3 bases on me that day. So that was kind of rude of him.
Oh, yeah, man, no good.
Yeah.
Gamecock on Gamecock crime.
He was the first batter that was in the box when the first batter of the first inning of my debut. So that was kind of crazy that it happened to be a Gamecock.
All just comes full circle. So it's funny how quickly you have to flip the switch to Grayson, because you go from – being ecstatic, you've realized a dream, to now, you're sitting here 2020 with the Tigers in spring training. You're fighting for a job. That's what everybody's doing. They're all fighting for jobs, fighting for positions. Throughout your career, 5 homers, 31 RBIs. I guess just talk about your attitude now, going into this 2020 season, again, fighting for that job, being like you said, almost with South Carolina, where you were talking about flipping the switch from being a fan to a contributor. And I feel like now you're almost flipping the switch from being a outside observer and watcher of Major League Baseball to, you're a contributor, no questions asked. What's kind of going through your mind right now? What are you working on? And I guess how excited are you for this 2020 season for yourself personally? We'll start there.
Very excited. Every year is a new opportunity, and kind of the way I approach things is just work hard, play the game the right way, be a good teammate. You kind of control what you can control. That's really all I do. Anything the Detroit Tigers want me to do to help their team, that's what I want to do. And that's kind of how I've always lived my life, is just to be a hard worker and do things the right way. And I'm very excited for this team, and to get started this spring training. We got some new guys that are have had a lot of success in the big leagues, and like you said, I'm trying to fight for a job and do the best I can every single day to do what I need to do to be in the big leagues. So that's my mindset every day, and that's going to be the mindset my entire career. Is just be a good teammate, do everything I can to help whichever organization I'm with. Hopefully the Tigers for a long time, but I understand how things work, and I just want to play this game as long as I can. So like you said, you kind of have to go from observing to fighting for your life to be in the big leagues, and that's how everyone views it, unless you're Miguel Cabrera, where you're going to be on the team. But for the vast majority of guys, it's fighting to put food on the table, and it's completely different than college baseball or high school baseball. It's a completely different mindset. It's truly unique. So I'm looking forward to this season and the many seasons to come.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think people just don't really realize just how competitive it is. Because, I mean, again, there's, for you, there's 5, 6, 7 more yous fighting for the same spot. I mean, it's have one bad day and, you never know. So, I mean, I think people kind of miss that side of it for sure. But I know I asked you personally, you kind of expanded on it. But I guess when you look at this Detroit Tigers team, you sort of talked about it, but how excited for you, I guess, for this 2020 ball club? What are you expecting from this group?
Last year was real tough to be, we didn't have a good year last year. And, with the front office went out and signed C.J. Cron, Jonathan Scope, Austin Romine, Ivan Nova. We signed some experienced guys that have had years and years of big league success. And everyone talks about the rebuild the last couple of years. And I think a lot of our young players are getting really close to the big leagues, and we have a lot of really, really good young players. So getting to see the older guys mesh with the younger guys and, have all that blend together. There's a lot of excitement in our clubhouse. It's a great group of leaders, and to be around, Cameron Maybin, Miguel Cabrera, guys like that have been doing this for a long time, and they're great presences in the clubhouse. It's a lot of excitement. So we're eager to get going. We're playing well right now. We're just getting back into the swing of things. So looking forward to this year with the Tigers, and there's a lot of great and exciting things ahead for this organization.
For sure. I got to ask you, who, obviously, again, you're a guy that going on your third year. Is there one, I ask people a lot of times, was there a welcome to the SEC moment or welcome to college? But was there a welcome to like the MLB moment, like a certain arm you faced, or you're like, holy smokes, like this is big time?
Yeah, I've done a few of these interviews, and I get asked this question a lot, and I always give the same answer. I think it was, I don't know, it was within my first 10 starts in the big leagues, but I was catching at home against the Angels, and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in their order, I believe, was Ian Kinsler, Mike Trout, Albert Pujols, Justin Upton, and Shohei Ohtani. So, that was kind of like, this isn't the minor leagues anymore. This is in college. You're catching behind Mike Trout, Albert Pujols, Ian Kinsler, Justin Upton, and Shohei Ohtani. So it was pretty eye opening, and it was amazing to be on the field with those guys as competitors. I'm trying to call pitches to beat those guys as opposed to watching them on SportsCenter. So that was amazing. And then just being in the presence of Miguel Cabrera every day is a big league moment in itself. He's in my opinion probably the best right-handed hitter of the last 40, 50 years. He won the Triple Crown. He's won MVPs. He's done it all. So
right.
To be around him and to be in his batting practice group and to watch him hit, it's something I'll probably be telling my grandkids. So that's a name that everybody knows. It's a blessing to be in the same clubhouse as him.
No question. So a couple of things I want to get you out here, Grayson. I want to go back to South Carolina baseball, though. Obviously, you're a guy. You're very busy what you're doing with the Tigers, with Major League Baseball. But I know, again, like you said, you keep up with South Carolina. I want to get your takes because obviously Chad Holbrook had his run with the Gamecocks, then Mark Kingston taking over in his third season. Have you had a chance to come back, meet Coach Kingston, just as an alum, as a proud alum, just kind of give, I guess, your overall take on the state of South Carolina baseball right now?
Yeah, I've gotten to meet Coach Kingston a few times and interact with him many times, and he's a great guy, great coach. I love what he's doing with the program. I know sometimes our fans aren't too happy with us losing some games, but he's got the program going in a good direction. He's very, very hardworking, very analytical, and I have no doubt that he'll be a successful coach here. And it's hard, man. It's hard being a college baseball player and getting guys to mesh and putting it all together each and every day. There's going to be days where you have the hitting, but you don't have the pitching. There's going to be days where you have the pitching, you don't have the hitting. It's not going to mesh every single day. That's what they're striving towards. So, I guess my advice to fans would be patient and wait till there's a little bigger sample size. I know we just lost to Northwestern in a series, but that's going to happen. I mean, we lost to Francis Marion when they opened their ballpark. We lost to Furman. We lost to Wofford. We lost to Francis Marion when they were opening their new ballpark, and we went to the national championship that year. So it's going to happen. So I know as a fan, it's not fun. I keep up with our basketball team, football team. There's games you shouldn't lose, but it happens. You just got to have faith and know that the people in charge they're not happy about it either. They're going to do everything they can to right the ship, and I have no doubt Coach Kingston and his staff will do that. And those players are working their butts off every day. I hit up there in the off season. I always see them in there, working and sweating and trying to get better. So, I'll always root for Carolina baseball and have faith that they're gonna do great things.
For sure, and a big opportunity this weekend, obviously taking on Clemson. Last question, Grayson, I'll get you out of here. When you look back at your South Carolina career, obviously you had a ton of great moments, a ton of memorable moments. If you have to pick one, maybe your favorite moment at South Carolina, what would it be?
I would say a tie between starting in the national championship and the Grand Slam against Clemson and winning. I think it's called the Tom Price Award,
the MVP.
or the MVP of the Clemson series. That was that's kind of growing up in Columbia and never really liking Clemson at all. Being the MVP of that series and being able to give that to my parents, that was really cool. I'd say those two moments were two moments that stand out, and just the lifelong relationships I have with Coach Tanner, Coach Holbrook, all my really close friends that I got to play with. I get to, keep in touch with those guys. Vince Fiore is in New York, so when we played the Yankees, I got to get him some batting practice tickets. Just those lifelong relationships are if I had to pick anything that really stood out, it would be those relationships with those guys that I got to form over those 3 years. That would be my favorite moments.
No question. Well, Grayson, really do appreciate you taking the time, man. Obviously, I know I can speak for all Gamecock fans when I say it was a pleasure to watch what you did in Garnet and Black, and then to see your career sort of blossom as it has. I know I'm excited. I know most, all of the South Carolina fans are excited to follow your career, and wishing you nothing but a healthy and prosperous 2020 season with the Tigers, man. Looking forward to it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and go Gamecocks.
Absolutely. So for Grayson Griner, I'm Chris Phillips. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on an episode of the Spurs Up Show.